All right, I'm going to start in the book of Second Ezra, the ninth chapter, sort of verse 1. It says, "And he answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time where the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning." First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Barakah, Kodash. Peace and blessings to the whole family elect that listen and learn at the Akim, Wa'akwatiyam, and double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone. Much respect to the mighty Gabarim and highways and hedges, and to the Gabarim making videos of edification. Salutations to the whole family that's scattered abroad that be under the speckled bird. So I have a couple of videos here, actually a few videos here that's basically that goes into Bible prophecy. Okay, rumors of wars, food shortages, okay, civil wars, race wars, so on and so forth. Okay, these are the prophecies that's coming to pass. All right, to what? To show us that this is the end of Esau. I don't want to get flagged. This is the end of E's queendom. Okay, so I want to go into. Also, I want to get something else in Matthew, and then we get into the video. Matthew 24, and sort of verse 6, Yahushai's words, okay? And it says, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things come to pass, but the end is not yet," right? Going into what? Measuring the time diligently and understanding that what? It is the very same time your highest, which is Yahushai, has come to visit the world which he made, right? And we know, according to Hebrews 1 and 2, that Yahushai made many worlds. But this world is talking about what? Esau, Edom, right? I said the word. Ease queendom, okay? Matthew 24 and verse 7 says, "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places." It says, all these are the beginning of sorrows. Okay, so these are just the beginning of sorrows, man. All right, World War III, okay, famine, pestilence, diseases, all right, uproars of the people, crime increase, right? Goes into Matthew 24 chapter, how the love of many shall wax cold because iniquity shall abound. All right, and iniquity is abounding, man. All right, the wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted. Okay, so this place has got to go. So let's get to this video here. Okay, and I'll add some scriptures as well.
It's a very serious issue. I believe that we are already for sure in a Cold War, and we'll have a decoupling between US and China, trade in goods, in services, in the movement of labor, of capital, investments, but more importantly right now, everything is important is to do with technology, data, and information that is from a national security point of view, severe and important. So the decoupling is occurring. The Cold War between US and China in terms of overall political and geopolitical relations is becoming worse. And the reason why Xi Jinping right now is seeking a third term and possibly a fourth is not because he wants to pass to history as the man who reformed China, it's because he wants to pass to history as the man that united mainland with Taiwan. So I believe the next 5 to 10 years is going to be the time where there's going to be a confrontation between US and China on the issue of Taiwan, and that could be a trigger of this Cold War becoming a hot war. We don't know whether it's going to happen, how it's going to be resolved, but that's where we get to World War III, among other things. But in some sense, World War III has already started. It started in Ukraine, because this conflict has broader implications that going well beyond Russia and Ukraine. It's the beginning of something else.
You didn't mention climate change, so I'm assuming you're not worried about that.
Well, there's a full chapter about an uninhabitable planet, about climate change. and it's a long discussion, but the reality of it, there's a lot of talk about doing something about climate change. There's a lot of talk about ESG investment, environmental, social, and governance, and so on. But the reality is a lot of it is greenwashing. A lot of it is green wishing. A lot of it is green fig leaves, or people who say we're going to do something. Government, firms, individual, they're doing nothing. Glasgow and COP was a total failure. At the current level, we're headed towards an increase of temperature by the end of this century of 3 degrees. Even 2 will be a disaster. 3 means that half of the world will be in places that are either underwater or too hot to live. And if you worry about a few 100,000 migrants from Central America moving here, wait until there be not a few 100,000, but millions or billions of people who have to move from places that you cannot live to other parts of the world. That's going to be an economic and financial disaster. It's a very
So as you just heard, man, okay, we're already in the third woe, okay? You have issues over there in Ukraine, okay? The Ukraine was still doing business with America, okay? And Russia is very displeased with that, okay? The same thing with China. When China wanted Taiwan to stop the transfer of arms, right, weapons, back and forth between the U.S. and Taiwan, okay? So all these nations, man, they want to gather up all their people and to prepare for battle, okay? Joel, the 3rd chapter, says what? To gather all the heathen, okay, in the valley of Yahweh Shaphat to prepare for that third woe, which is in Revelations 11 and 14. Let me get that. Yep, this is Revelation 11 and verse 14. It says, for the second woe is past, right? World War II, okay? The Second World War. It says, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Okay, so World War III. World War III is here, okay? Battle is going to be a battle royale between all these nations, man. All right, most importantly, against the great whore, all right, which is America, Babylon, okay, and in Israel, okay. Let's get some more. Let's go into Second Ezra's chapter 13. Second Ezra 13 and verse, I think it's 31. Yep. It says, and one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another, man. All right, so let's just go into what? World wars, and also what? Civil and race wars, okay? Because you have militias also being formed, okay? Not only just to go against the government, but also what? To come up against Jake, okay? Because the economical structure is very weak and is caving through, okay? And E is feeling the pain, all right? They're very frustrated, okay? They're pissed off, and eventually what? They want to take their hatred, their perpetual hatred out on Jake, man, okay? That also goes into what? Second Ezra, the 15th chapter, man. And I actually have a video on that as well, okay? So let me get this. Second Ezra 15, and I'm starting at verse 14, okay? It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people should stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands. And swords, the modern day sword is the gun, right? There's also going to be what? Knives and things like that, okay? So literally swords as well. It says, for there should be sedition among men and invading one another. They should not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. That's right. Okay, so the people are sick and tired of so-called leaders, man. Okay, they're sick and tired of sleepy Joe Biden. They're sick and tired of the mayors. Okay, so on and so forth. This is why what? You have doomsday preppers. Okay, you have militias being formed. All right, in preparation to come up against the government and their army. Okay, that's what's going to lead into martial law. Right? Second Ezra 15 and 16, it says, for there should be sedition among men and invading one another. They should not regard their kings nor princes, and the courses of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. You see that? So that's going into blockades and checkpoints, okay? Things of that nature. So I want to get this other video here. Let's see if it, let's go into it. There we go. Now check this out.
The military and the police have a far-right problem. Across North America and Europe, far-right extremists are actively recruiting both military personnel and law enforcement officers. In Germany, extremist groups have stashed explosives and thousands of rounds of ammunition. In the US, serving soldiers are beginning to fight against the very government they're sworn to serve. This is how the far right are using troops with state-of-the-art training and high-grade weaponry to carry out violent attacks and spread their messages.
Our message to the patriots in Virginia is stand up, muster your people together.
This is Stuart Rhodes, founder of the Oath Keepers, an armed far-right militia known for showing up at protests around the US with heavy weaponry.
The St. Louis County Police were out last night saying that they were unnecessary and inflammatory.
They claim to be entirely made up of both serving and former police and military personnel, and to provide protection for businesses during civil unrest.
We have an outstanding team. Brian Carruthers is a combat engineer veteran. Jose Rivera, he did civil affairs in the Army. We got Ivan, our Army Ranger veteran. Dave is a combat veteran, U.S. Army. Scott, our top also. So we got a great crew.
But behind the facade, the Oath Keepers promote a web of conspiracy theories that suggest the government is planning to impose martial law, send them to concentration camps, and install a global totalitarian government.
One thing they fear most is all of us coming together and standing up united and refusing to comply. They fear the mass non-compliance. They also fear the U.S. military.
Which is pretty ironic, given they're made up of so many former state employees.
Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco is one of hundreds of law enforcement officials caught on a list of leaked membership records for the Oath Keepers, the far-right extremist group the FBI calls an anti-government militia.
Police lieutenant is under internal investigation.
Some of New York's finest may be linked to the Oath Keepers, a right-wing extremist group.
And there will be a full investigation.
They will talk about things like global governance organizations like the United Nations being a vehicle for tyranny that is orchestrated by some murky cabal of international elite. It's a place driven by this fight between good and evil.
In January, Rhodes was arrested for sedition, relating to the Oath Keepers' key role in last year's Capitol riots. If you look closely at these images, you can observe members of the Oath Keepers in a military form.
You see that? So I'm going to read 2nd Esdras, the 15th chapter again, okay? 2nd Esdras 15, and I'm going to start at, I'll just start at verse 16, and it says, for there shall be sedition, okay, among men and invading one another. They should not regard their kings nor princes, and the courses of their actions shall stand in their power, which you see in this video, okay? You have a bunch of militias forming, okay, former law enforcement, former military, okay, employees of different employment backgrounds, okay, coming together, all right, to form a front, okay, to come up against the government, all right. So this is basically what? Babylon, not so great, collapsing from the inside out, man, okay. They're you know, the economy is pretty much finished, man. Okay. Jobs are scarce. Okay. Food shortages, housing crisis, things like that, man. The people are pissed. Okay. As a matter of fact, let's get something real quick. Let's go into Isaiah. Let's go into the book of Isaiah, chapter 24, I believe. Isaiah 24, and let's start at verse 7. Yep. It says, the new wine mourneth, the vine languisheth, all the merry-hearted do sigh. The mirth of Tabaret ceaseth, the noise of them that rejoice endeth, the joy of the harp ceaseth. They shall not drink wine with a song, strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it. That's right, because what? People are depressed, man. Okay? And they're trying to drink their sorrows away, but hey, it's not satisfying them. It says the city of confusion is broken down. Every house is shut up that no man may come in. That's going into the housing crisis, and also what? Certain jobs being closed down. Okay. It says there is crying for wine in the streets. They're out there seeking information, right? Seeking answers. All joy is darkened. The mirth of the land is gone. So the mirth of Babylon is pretty much gone. Okay. Due to what? The wicked rulership, man. Of E, man. The people mourn. Let's get that. Let's go into Proverbs. Proverbs 29. Okay. Proverbs 29 and verse 2. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, right? And the Israelites are not in authority right now. Okay. But when the wicked bear fruit, the people mourn. Going back into Job 9 and 24, the earth is given to the hand of the wicked. He covered the face of the judges thereof. Okay. Also, if we go into the book of Daniel, we can also add that into Daniel. Let's go to Daniel real quick. Daniel 4 and verse 17. Okay. Shows you the power of the Lord. This matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and set it up over it the bases of men, right? As it says in the book of Job, they're the base men, okay, violent in the earth, okay? So E, the basis of men, right? The wicked that the Bible speaks of, Malachi 1 and 4, is in rulership, okay? What's spreading like a green bay tree, okay? And everyone is sick and tired of them, man. Okay. Let's get a little bit more of that, and then we switch to the different video.
Formation known as Ranger File. This is a standard military procedure for clearing a building, which would be instantly recognizable to any US soldier. But here, it's being deployed against the US government itself.
DC police officer witnessed some rioters using military-style hand signals to communicate.
Small unit tactics used by the U.S. military in urban warfare.
But the Oath Keepers are just a snapshot of a much wider problem. In fact, 1 in 10 of those charged with storming the Capitol was either serving in the military or a veteran. And there are similar groups right across the US, such as the Three Percenters, another far-right militia known for their large contingent of police and military veterans. Disturbingly, the authorities have been aware of this threat for a long time.
By 2006, the FBI had actually recognized this issue. They authored a report about white supremacist infiltration into law enforcement specifically. And they focused on this idea of what they called ghost skins. The basic idea of a ghost skin is people to do cover up your tattoos, grow your hair out, basically hold the same beliefs, but mobilize in a more secretive fashion. Unfortunately, that FBI report was shelved. And even now, more recently, the FBI have essentially de-emphasized the relevance of the report.
In February 2021, the Pentagon released a report on the issue of white supremacists infiltrating serving military units.
And there is no such thing as a white supremacist, all right? There's no such thing as white or black, okay? We already know it's a social construct that was created in the late 1600s, all right? That also goes back to what Deuteronomy 28:37, how we'll be called those bywords in Proverbs, okay? So-called black, so-called Negro, all right? Latino, so on and so forth, okay? So social constructs, man. The so-called white man is the true red man, all right? He came out red all over like a hairy garment.
They've so far failed to take meaningful action. This is not an accident. Extremist groups go out of their way to cynically recruit and exploit military and law enforcement personnel, and they know how to do it.
They may be having to deal with PTSD and traumas related to if they've been in combat. And just generally, anytime you have to reintegrate into society from another way of life, that's always going to be somewhat difficult.
And see, that's another thing, man. You see, the government, they give you this false narrative, this false dream of fighting for your country, okay? But then when you get out of the military, okay, and you have certain issues, all right, you've seen somebody's head get blown off, things like that, you have certain traumas, right, PTSD, they didn't want to, you know, leave your butt on the streets, man. That's another reason why these veterans and these ex-military are pissed with the government as well, man. Okay, see, the so-called the devil, all right, he doesn't even care about his own people, man. Let's get something. Let's go into I think that's the Sirach. Let's get something else. Let's get something real quick. I want to go into, where is it? I know Sirach. Yep, a Sirach 14. Sirach 14 and verse 5. Beautiful. It says, he that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasures in his goods. You see that? So if he's not even good to him, he's not even good to his own people, man. Okay? He sends his people out there, his seed, to fight Amalek, man. Because Amalek, the Ish people, all right, the national bankers, they control all things here in what? Babylon, not. All right, they fund both sides. Okay, they create the chaos, but then they come in as heroes. All right, and they send them these wars, man, to die. Right? And these veterans, man, they're pissed off. They're not receiving the coverage, the correct coverage that they. Okay, due to the trauma, all right, so on and so forth. Okay, so hey, man, militias are being prepared, all right, part of prophecy. So let's get into a different video, okay, going into these housing crises, okay. As a matter of fact, I want to go into the food shortages. As a matter of fact, where is it? There we go.
We're facing a food pricing problem in 2022 that's created havoc around the world. Well, if we don't get on top of this thing quickly, and I don't mean next year, I mean this year, you will have a food availability problem in 2023, and that's going to be hell on it. We're looking at an $11 billion shortfall of food production inside Africa alone. Now, I could go to Central America, South America, same issues on droughts. India, devastated by heat and drought, and it could go on and on. We were able to avert famine in the last couple of years as I went to the leaders of the world, said if you don't respond, you will have catastrophe on catastrophe, particularly in the height of COVID. And the leaders did respond. We averted famine. But then Ukraine comes on, shutting down the breadbasket of the world that produces enough food to feed 400 million people.
You see that? So, hey, food crisis is coming too, man. An actual famine, okay? That's on the way. And we've seen the multiple reports on how the farms, their crops are being mysteriously burnt up, okay? The grain, we got grain shortages, so on and so forth, man. Okay, contributing to the decrease of foods being transferred back and forth to major food companies. Okay, or what? Ordained by the Lord, man. 2nd Ezra 15, and I'm starting at verse 13. Nope, I'm gonna start at verse 12. It says Egypt, right? Synonymous for the house of bondage here in America, all right? Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that Yahweh shall bring upon it. Okay? They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with a fearful consolation, man. That's going into these natural disasters as well, man. Because we've seen many earthquakes in diverse places, whirlwinds, typhoons, okay, wildfires, okay, and actual the actual burning of these crops that's going to contribute into the famine, man. See, all these things, all these prophecies are going to tie in into Revelation, the 13th chapter, okay, going into that charagma, okay. The wicked are seeking to control everyone, man. They want to control the whole world, okay, by food shortages, okay, by chaos, so on and so forth, man. Plague and pestilence, man. These pestilences and diseases that they create in these labs, man. Okay. Overall, what? Bible prophecy. Okay. Let's go to 2nd Ezra 6 and 22. And that says what? And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses, right? Walmart, okay. Shaw's, you know, your BJ's, Shop and Saves, right? All these major supermarkets that have food, supplies, right? Water, clothing. What's going to happen? And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. All right. And we already seen baby formula shortages. Okay. So on and so forth. And it's going to increase, man. This is what's going to cause many people to look to what for their love to wax cold, because it's going to come to a point where they're just going to be focusing on survival. Those who don't have this wisdom and understanding, as it says in Isaiah 33 and 6, they're not going to understand prophecy. So what? They're going to be caught with their pants down, man. Okay? Robbing and stealing, sedition among men, invading one another. Okay? For what? The lack of bread, man. Okay? And a lot of this too is going to affect the weaker vessel, man, which are the women. Okay? The scriptures say what? Woe to them that give suck in those days, man. Woe to them with child and get suck in those days. Okay? Because it's going to be a very, very rough time, especially for single mothers, man, who pride themselves on being single mothers, who say, we don't need a man. Okay? And that's another thing too, man. A lot of the men are leaving these women, man, by themselves. Okay? They're going overseas, things like that. And these women are left by themselves, man. And you see all over the internet of them speaking of how proud they are of being career driven. Okay, they have their own house, their own car. But when shit hit the fan and all that stuff is being taken away, what's going to happen, man? I know it. I know what's going to happen right now. Let's get it. Let's go into I think Ecclesiastes, okay? Because that also goes into these jobs, right, being taken away too because of economical weakness. Okay, let's go to Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, and let's start at verse 3. And it says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, right? These jobs being closed down, okay, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. That's going to what? Foreclosures, man. Okay. That brings me back to a video I seen of this Eve that was saying, hey, you know, I'm a real estate and I you know, sold such and such houses. I'm doing fine. Okay. However, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is bringing a major downfall, a degradation, okay, here in Babylon. All right. Ecclesiastes 12 and verse 4 says, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. You see that? So the grinding is ceasing. Okay, jobs are becoming more scarce. Okay, even though they're saying, listen, we're going to hire for $60 an hour, you also have to consider what? The raise in rent and also the raise in food. And when the food shortages hit, the prices are going to skyrocket, man. I mean, hey, you might be charged $30 for a quart of milk, man. Okay, $25 for a loaf of bread, man, and $20 for some eggs. All right, the essentials are going to be expensive. Okay, so like I said, man, the majority is, yes, it's going to affect men, but see, men have the strength to protect their goods, right? To fight if they need it. But when it comes to the women, man, they're going to be the easiest targets. And I have another video here too that talks about the housing crisis, man. Okay, let's get it. There we go. Check this out.
4:30, feeling the pinch of higher rent? Well, you are not alone. Many people say they just can't keep up with the price hikes. Nearly 60% of renters, in fact, were hit with an increase in the past 12 months. That's according to a study from Freddie Mac. But only 38% of those renters say they got a raise. And a third says their pay hike won't cover their rent increase. Well, the group that gets hit hard by housing affordability in LA County is women of color. That insight is coming from the nonprofit organization Gender Equity Policy Institute. And KCAL 9's Amy Johnson is in the newsroom now with the new findings on LA County's housing affordability. Amy.
Well, Leslie and Susie, researchers found the burden of high housing costs falls heaviest on people of color and women, especially Black and Latina.
LA rents are some of the highest in the country, but who is affected isn't necessarily equal, according to a new study.
The burden of the housing crisis falls largely on women and people of color, particularly on Latinas and on Black women.
Nancy Cohen is the president of the Gender Equity Policy Institute. They looked at who is suffering the most in LA's housing crisis and explained why women suffer the most.
These groups are paying much more for rent. They're spending much more of their income on rent. Many of them are spending more than half of their entire income on rent.
In fact, the study showed 53% of women in Los Angeles County are rent burdened compared to 47% of men. 1 in 3 Black women renters spend more than half their income in housing, and 3 in 5 Latino-led households are rent burdened.
Gender inequality and discrimination is still a very real thing in American society, and it has real impact on people's lives.
Cohen says they started the study during the pandemic when so many people were struggling to pay the rent, but she hopes help is on the way.
And Cohen says she expects some key decisions from legislature.
So this has nothing to do with gender equality, man. All right. This has to do with, first of all, the prophecy. Okay. Prophecy of the Lord, man. All right. You have to understand, man, that this place is finished. So everything is going to be what? At its highest when it comes to prices of living, the prices of gas, right? The prices of food. Because the petrodollar is pretty much obsolete. Inflation is causing these things, okay? So what? So we can move to a cashless society, okay? That's the plan, to move to a digital currency. So what? They can implant that thing under your skin, man, to get you connected to the beast system, okay? And as we just seen in the video, this housing crisis is affecting who? The Israelite woman. This is why I don't understand why these Israelite women are so prideful. They don't need this. They don't need that. They got this. They got that. But then what? They have other videos of them crying, talking about they can't do it by themselves. Okay. And instead of saving money, a lot of Eves, man. Okay. Especially the Judite women, they spend on Fendi. Okay. Prada. Their nails done. Their hair did. Okay. These BBLs. They're not using wisdom. What does it say in Job 39:17? Let's get that. And then I'm going to go to Isaiah. I want to go to Job real quick. Job 39:17. It says, because Yahweh have the pride for wisdom, neither have he imparted to her understanding. This is why women are always in debt, man. They're always talking about, their college degree, but guess what? They're in college debt. And then they want a high value man, right? A successful man in the world sense to take care of them. Okay. But I thought you were strong and independent and you could do it on your own. But anyways, let's go to Isaiah. Isaiah 32. Okay. And so that verse 9. And it says, rise up, you women that are at ease. Hear my voice, you careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Okay. And the prophets out there in the highways and byways, right? Also making these videos, man. Okay. Trying to catch the ears of Israel. But in this case, the Israelite woman. Okay. It says, many days and years shall you be troubled, you careless woman. For the vintage shall fail, right? The economy shall collapse. The gathering shall not come. Tremble, you women that are at ease. Be troubled, you careless ones. Strip you and make you bare and gird sackcloth upon your loins. They shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, and for the fruitful vine. Okay, so guess what, man? When the money is done away with, you can't buy your accessories. Okay, especially in the times of Jacob's troubles. Okay, no more tampons, no more getting your nails did. Okay, and those who are pretty, you're gonna have it rough, man. Because the men are going to be coming after you. All right. The love of many is already waxing cold. So imagine when all hell breaks loose and desperate times call for desperate measures. Okay. It's going to be bad, man. This is why the men of the Lord are coming to you. All right. Telling you what to come back, man. All right. All of Israel, but we understand that 2/3 are not going to listen. That's why they're going to be cut off and die on this side. All right. So this is why we're here for the elect, to continue to warn them. Prophecy is here. Okay. So all this is happening, man. Because why? Because we have the wicked in rulership. Okay. Job 9:24, the earth's given into the wicked. Daniel 4:17, the Lord gave it over to the bases of men. Okay. Proverbs 29:2, that the righteous are in authority, the people mourn. I mean, when the righteous is in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked bear fruit, the people mourn. Okay, so we understand who the wicked is, and the wicked is in rulership. Okay, all Bible prophecy, and this all leads to Revelation, the 13th chapter. Okay, let's get that. Let's get that video real quick. Check this out, and I go into Revelation, the 13th chapter. Okay, it all leads to this.
Welcome back. When was the last time you wrote an actual check or bought something with cash? Swiping and tapping our cards and our apps are not just the easiest way to spend money, they're the safest way, unless, of course, we misplace our phones or our wallets, and then it's a nightmare. It is hard to misplace your hands, however. And soon your hand may be all that you need to buy anything that you can afford and many things that you can't. Because a company called Walletmore is developing a very teeny tiny chip. You see it there in the X-ray? That should creep you out. The chip is like the ones that are found in smart credit cards or debit cards. And the chip gets embedded just under your skin and makes your whole hand a credit card. Joining me now is Wojtek Perota. He's the CEO and founder of Walletmore. Okay, Wojtek, this is so futuristic and out there, but walk me through how it actually works.
Okay, so first of all, thanks for having me. Let's look at the chip as a super small part that you can use wherever contactless payments are accepted. So it's exactly the same NFC technology, which stands for near field communication, and therefore it can be used only for the near field communication payments. So therefore you cannot be tracked, you cannot be monitored, you cannot be spied with that implant, because it's exactly the same technology as credit card.
So here's my worry, is that you can accidentally buy something by just having your hand too close to a machine, or you could accidentally have your data all stolen by shaking someone's hand, because a lot of times we protect our cards in cases that can't be penetrated. But if it's in your hand, it's really hard to do that.
It's not that simple, to be honest. First of all, you cannot lose money when you are shaking hands with anyone, because the implant is the passive tag and it doesn't have any internal source of energy, and therefore the only option to get the read of that implant is to put it in the near field of terminal. So therefore the other implant, which is inside of the other person's hand, is not capable of processing information. You need to have that source of energy, and only terminals that you can see at the moment are capable of providing that energy. So that's one thing. The other thing is that you definitely cannot lose your money because of the fact that you tap in a random place. Why? Because the implant is so small compared to the credit card. Normally, of course, when you tap the credit card, the terminal, it gets the read instantly. With the implant, it's a little bit different because you need to be super precise. And therefore, if someone is touching your hand, finding this perfect sweet spot, because that's how we need to look at it, you would realize at least 10 times that something is going on with your hand. So that's
do you have it? Wojciech, do you have it in your hand right now?
Yeah, of course. Actually, the X-ray that you saw was for my hand, and that's how it looks. On my hand.
So show me your hand. Is it possible to see it at all? It's just barely standing out, right? Like it looks like maybe a little like a scar.
Yeah, as you can see, I'm popping it a little bit.
All right, this is Revelation chapter 13. I'm sorry, verse 16. And it says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a charagma in their right hand or in their foreheads. You see that? And it says, and that no man might buy or sell, which what? When they crash this dollar and they switch to digital currency, they're going to say, hey, guess what? You can't purchase anything online. You can't purchase anything at the supermarkets. Okay. You can't get into your car. You can't get into your house unless what? You accept that charagma. Okay. It says, and that no man might buy or sell, save he had the mark of the name, Salakia, say that he had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Okay? The prophecy is here. No more conspiracy theories, man. This is truth. Okay? The word of the Lord will not return unto him void. Okay, prophecy will be fulfilled. And this is one of the major prophecies that we're waiting for. Okay, so we can be delivered out of this hellhole, man. Delivered from delivered from Eve, man. Okay, now let's go into what happens to those who get that charagma, man. Okay, let's go into Revelations the 16th chapter. So that verse 1. And it says, and I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the seven angels, go your ways and pour out the veils of the wrath of Yahweh upon the earth. And the first went and poured out his veil upon the earth. And check this out. And there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the charagma of the beast, and upon them which worship his image. So those who have the charagma will be destroyed, thus saith the Lord. Okay, there's no forgiveness, there's no repentance. You've already sided with the devil, man. Okay, you sided with Eve. You've made your allegiance, your covenant with the devil, man. Okay, but see, the prudent men and women of this wise counsel, man, the tabernacle of David, we are not going to take that charagma. Okay, but guess what? The simple will pass on. All right, they believe everything, man. They believe, come on, man. They believe everything, man. These 2/3, and the crazy thing too is you have a lot of these so-called white people that don't believe it, man. That's why they're gathering arms, man. But see, 2/3 of our people, they're not measuring the times diligently, man. Okay, and they're going to be taken. That's why 2/3 are going to be cut off and die on the side, man. Okay. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. So at the end of the day, this is all Bible prophecy of Eve's fall. Okay, let's get something real quick. Let's go to 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter. We'll make this. couple more, then we get out of here. Second Ezra's 11. Nope, Salakia. Second Ezra's 6. Let's start at verse 7. It says, Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times, right? So what is the signs of the prophecy, right? Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth, right? Going into Esau, Edom, right? Said the word again. Going into E and going into Jacob, you know? That's how they banned my first page, you know? They put a strike on my main page. But anyways, this is Second Ezra 6 and verse 7 says, Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times, or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? Okay. And this is what he said. And he said unto me, for Abraham, unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the beginning of the beginning, Salakia, is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of the followeth. You see that? So these are the signs and times, man, the wonders that Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua is performing on this earth to show us, right, the hopeful elect, that this place is finished, man, out the window. That E's kingdom will be destroyed with thermonuclear fire. But first it has to go through certain steps, man. It has to be destroyed from the inside out. There has to be civil war, right? There has to be an economic collapse. There has to be a third world war with all these other nations, right? Obadiah 1-7, how other nations were confronted with America, have laid a snare in the trap. Okay? So Russia, right? Moab, eventually Ammon. Okay, we have Iran and Iraq, right? China, okay? And eventually all these so-called third world countries, man, will unite forces to come up against the great whore. Okay? All Bible prophecy. Let me get one more not in doubt. Let's go to Jeremiah. Jeremiah 51. Let's start at verse 1. Okay? It says, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them, that rise up against me a destroying wind. And where's that destroying wind come from? Thermonuclear missiles, okay? I will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her and shall empty her land, for in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. All these other nations, right? Obadiah 1-7, okay? Joel, the 3rd chapter, how all these nations will come together, right? And to fight, to do battle. Okay. It says, against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow, right? Missiles. Against him that lifted himself up in his brigandine, and spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her hosts, right? All the soldiers are going to be put to death. All the men of war are going to die. It says, thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they that are thrust through in her streets. For Israel had not been forsaken, nor Judah of his God, of the Lord Yahweh of hosts, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. And that's what the prophets are doing. Okay. Micah 2:10 says what? To arise ye and depart. And how are we arising and departing? By what? Going into these scriptures, and what? The men of the Lord going out there in the highways and byways and making these videos to what? To give the truth, man, unto Israel, to set them free, to separate them from this world. Okay. And it says, flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. That's why all the other nations are mad, man, under the false philosophy. Okay, the American dream. It says the nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. But Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. That goes into what? Jeremiah 23rd chapter. And it says, how's the hammer of the earth fallen asunder? Okay. America was seen as the hammer of the old earth because it had nuclear capabilities, right? But guess what? All these other nations are saying, I am strong. Let the weak say, I am strong. Okay. It says, Babylon suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain. If so be, she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go everyone into his own country, right? You're going to have these other nations fleeing back into their own people when they see that this place is through. Okay. And it says, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. So the wickedness has reached even up to the heavens. Okay. And it says, the Lord have wrought forth our righteousness. Come and let us declare Zion the work of the Lord of our power. Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord have raised up the spirit, the kings of the Medes, right? Going into Russia. For his device is against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple. Okay. So Babylon is going to be destroyed, man, by thermonuclear destruction. All these nations will come together, shoot their arrows towards Babylon. Babylon will shoot their arrows towards the other nations. And guess what? As it says in the scriptures, that Yahweh Bashim Shai will lay these mountains desolate, okay? For the what? For the dragons of the wilderness. All right, thus saith the Lord. All right. So I didn't mean to go too far along, but that's the spirit. But hey, all Bible prophecy, okay? I pray that y'all are edified. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Badash. Again, peace and blessings to the whole family elect. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone. Much respect to the mighty Gabarim and to the Gabarim making videos edification, okay? Salutations to the whole family elect scattered abroad that be under the spectral bird. Shalom.